My name is Margaret, and I've lived long enough to know that life is not always gentle. I'm a mother, and like many mothers, I've carried both joy and heartbreak in my heart. Today, I want to tell you my story, about my son, Michael. From the very beginning, Michael was never easy. He was strong-willed, rebellious, always determined to do things his own way. Rules didn't matter to him, whether at school or at home. I used to watch him push boundaries. And though it worried me, deep down I knew he had a fire inside him that even I couldn't control. And then the day came that I had always feared. One morning, I walked into Michael's room and found it empty. The bed was unmade, books scattered across the desk, and his backpack was gone. My heart sank. At first, I told myself he must be with friends. But as the hours passed and he didn't return, a cold panic began to rise inside me. I knocked on every door, called every friend, and even went to the police station. But there was no news, no sign of him anywhere. At night, while the world slept, I sat by the window, staring into the darkness, whispering prayers into the silence. God, please keep my boy safe. Please bring him back to me. Those days felt like the longest of my life. And only a mother can understand when your child is gone, every passing second feels like an eternity of pain. My tears dried up, but inside, my soul screamed in a way no one else could hear. Those were the hardest days of my life. I turned to God with everything I had. After every prayer, I lifted my hands and whispered, Lord, keep my son safe. Guide his steps. Protect him from harm. I recited every verse, every prayer I could remember. When I closed my eyes, I saw Michael's face. When I opened them, I saw an empty room. Nights felt endless, and even the days were heavy with silence. I would pull back the curtains and stare down the street, just hoping that any moment the door would open and he would walk in. A mother's heart clings to prayer. There was no message, no sign, only waiting and praying. Each hour stretched like a lifetime, but I never let go of hope. Deep inside, I believed someday, somehow, my son would come back to me, and then the moment I had prayed for finally came. There was a soft knock on the door. My heart leapt so hard I could barely breathe. I rushed to the door, my hands trembling. When I opened it, there he was, Michael, tired, disheveled, but alive, standing right in front of me. His eyes held guilt, and mine were overflowing with tears. I didn't ask where he'd been. I didn't say a word. I just ran into his arms and held him as tightly as I could. In that moment, it felt as if time stood still. Between a mother and her child, there were no questions, no explanations, just silence. And in that silence was everything. After that day, Michael slowly began to open up. He admitted his mistakes. He told me he had been lost, but deep down, he always knew there was one place waiting for him, his mother's arms. I listened to everything he said, but never once did I complain. I simply told him, "Son, no matter how far you go, the doors of my heart will always be open for you." A mother's love is extraordinary. It doesn't hold on to anger. It only gives prayers and forgiveness. That day, I reminded Michael that no matter how far life may lead him astray, a mother's prayers will always guide him home. And the truth is, love endures everything. Looking back now, I realize that the greatest lessons in life don't come from books. They come from relationships. Michael's rebellion, his mistakes, his absence, and his return, they all reminded me of one simple truth: a mother's love never ends. If your child has drifted away, if they've made mistakes, don't give up on them. Keep praying, keep believing, because one day those prayers will find their way back to your child's heart. And in the end, I'll say this love and prayer will always lead us home. And there is no safer place than a mother's heart.